What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another special PAX Online East edition of the Burnout Writer podcast, where we're talking to a whole bunch of developers about cool games that we've seen. And Destiny, on this episode, we're going to be talking about Reina and Jericho, which is coming from Reclamation Games. And for anybody who's unaware of what this game is, it is a Metroidvania that is very, very story-driven. In the game, you play Reina as she wanders around trying to find Jericho through this facility where there's like a bunch of enemies and there's like time travel-esque stuff involved. It looks super, super dope. Destiny, what do you think of what we saw from Reina and Jericho?
Well, first of all, I get excited whenever there's a female protagonist. So
Mm-hmm.
immediately when I saw that, and you're basically playing as Reina for the entire game, I was like, hell yeah, I'm down. But the game looks incredible. Honestly, the idea behind the game is something that I've always been interested in,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like time travel, parallel universes, going back in time and having that butterfly effect and like how it changes the future. And
Mm-hmm.
so like this game, that's one of the main focuses of it, is like having those. What was the thing he said about the chain of events? It was like
he
so
said
perfectly
he
done.
said what the game is intended to be is to create the perfect chain of cause and effect. So they're focusing a lot on telling the story in a way that, you know, you learn and you go through things over and over again. So you might meet a character, but because of something happens or because you die or whatever else, you get warped back to a certain moment. Or you maybe that's a choice that you made, consciously. You might run into the character again, and you're going to know what's going on with them, and you're going to understand that the conversation is happening, but the character doesn't know what's going on. So like your character might cut them off and be like, yeah, we've already talked about this. Or, she'll break things down because she already knows what's happening, and she's trying to find the perfect way of going about this so that she can save Jericho, which is the
Basically,
character. Yeah.
finish what he started. So like the thing that he also talked about was the fact that like he didn't want to just have like this buff female character, and he didn't want to just check off boxes, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, there are not enough female protagonists, let me just throw one in there. Like he
Yeah.
really thought about it, and like you could just tell from talking to him, he is a storyteller. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like he is
Yes.
very much a storyteller. So the story is engaging, the dialogue is engaging. And one of the things that I thought was amazing, you briefly mentioned, is that when you have a conversation with someone and like let's say you die, they don't remember, but not only you as a character outside of that, like you as a person outside of that, remember what's going on, she
Mm-hmm.
remembers what's going
Yes.
on herself. And I just thought that was incredible, because usually when you die in a game, your character is just replaying that as they don't know what's coming, but she
Exactly.
knows what's coming. And so all of that helps with how you basically traverse the rest of the story
Mm-hmm.
itself, because if they already know something, she's going to react. Like let's say she had an argument with one of the characters and then she dies as she comes back, she's still pissed off about
Yeah.
that argument that she had. And so your interaction with that character again, well, they don't remember talking to you. Reina remembers what you said. Like she
Exactly.
remembers that you talked about her mama, and she has something to say.
Yeah,
Right?
it's really interesting because the developer talked us a lot about how they're very focused about a story about suffering. This is going to be a bit of a heavy game in its subject matter. They're inspired by things like The Great Gatsby or Run Lola Run, which is a movie that Destiny was very excited about that I've never watched, but I will.
It's an amazing movie. Guys, if you haven't seen Run Lola Run, please see it. Can I just give a brief breakdown? Okay, the thing in Run Lola Run, and it really, when I tell you about it, you'll see how it like correlates with the story. But
Mm-hmm.
it's based off this girl, and her boyfriend needs a certain amount of money. So like it rewinds a couple of times in the story, and each time it rewinds, something different happens,
Mm-hmm.
right? That plays out to the end. And then sometimes like she doesn't get the money in time and he ends up dying. And then sometimes she's too early.
Don't spoil
Um,
it.
no. You have to watch it. I'm not spoiling anything.
Don't spoil.
Like, I'm not spoiling anything. You have to watch it. I'm not spoiling anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you watch it, like, you'll see. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't give you anything. It's all very time based. And if you're
Yeah.
familiar with the idea of like the butterfly effect, everything that you do, like people who know this about time traveling, obviously, everything you do in the past has an effect in the
Yes.
future.
Yeah.
So
It's really really interesting because like he's been inspired by like what is the most difficult thing you've ever done, and how do you kind of relive that moment and go back to it. And it's awesome. Like there's going to be different paths that you can take that, like, again, because it's a Metroidvania, you'll be going around getting different power-ups that will help you traverse an area that you might not have been able to get through before as you kind of warp around the world, because there are these fountains that you can go to that act as save points and replenish your health, but they're also the points that when Reina dies, or later on in the game when you unlock fast travel, you're able to warp back to these spots to be able to continue going down a different path. And he said, like, there's a point in the game when the kind of branches into three, and if you go to one path, you might hear about a character or interact with a character, but if you go take another path first, you'll run into that character themselves, and then you have no context for who they are, but you'll learn about it after. So there's a lot of choice and consequence that leads into what you're doing, which I think is really, really interesting. He talked a lot about color theory as well, Destiny, which I know you were
Mm.
really excited about, and how he talked about, like, the green in her jacket is kind of almost the only use of green outside of also helping you direct the right way, is the way you can go. So tell me a little bit more about, like, how important color is in this game.
Well, I don't want to say why, like, the green jacket or what the meaning is behind it. I'm really
Hmm.
hoping, like, as people play it, they figure it out. But color theory is so important. So if you think about movies like Sixth Sense, and I think he said
Blade
Little
Runner,
China, Blade
Chinatown.
Runner, and Chinatown.
Yes.
All of these, like, colors signify something. So, for example, in the Sixth Sense, red always signified when something negative was about to happen. And Blade Runner, the color yellow kind of represented truth whenever you saw that flash up on screen. So, all I'm gonna say is, as you're playing the game, pay attention to the colors,
Yes.
because everything is in the game for a reason. And the reason why her jacket is green is for a specific reason.
Yeah.
The reason why there are, like, pops of red is for a specific reason. And I know some of you are probably like, oh, obviously, but, like, honestly, pay attention, because I think the way that he incorporated it is, like, fantastic.
Yeah, and, like, the music in the game also, like, heavily leads to the atmosphere. It is a very, very interestingly put together game, and, like, it's very much story first. Like, they had their narrative, and this is a story that they wanted to tell, and everything fits in around that. Sometimes the music influences where the story goes next, while sometimes, him and his wife are actually working on it together, and his wife has
Right.
composed a lot of the
She's the
music.
composer.
So,
Yeah.
like, there'll be times where she'll start playing something, and he'll kind of figure out where he wants to go, or vice versa. He'll have a point and she'll jump in. So it's very, very thought out and very well put together. He talked a lot about how Celeste is one of his main influences when creating this game, and he kind of related that, like, if Celeste is about anxiety and depression, Reina and Jericho is about the process of pain and going through your
And
emotions
getting
and such
through it. Yeah.
in such a way. So this game does sound like it's going to be heavy.
It
Like
sounds like
this.
it's gonna be so heavy, and, like, I'm a little afraid, like, what I'm gonna find at the end. Like, only because he said The Great Gatsby, and I
Yeah.
was just like, I know how that ended. So
Hmm.
I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited to go on the ride that will be Reina and Jericho, because the game does look like it's a lot of fun. There is a demo up, and I've played it, and it does control well. The
Check out the
Metroidvania aspect
demo.
is interesting. You can find that demo on Steam, and you can also wish list.
Wish
Why?
list it, because, guys, when you wish list things on Steam, it really helps with the algorithm. It lets Steam know that, like, you're interested in playing this game, people are talking about it, and that helps the devs. And if you help the devs, then the devs can help you have a good time, produce more games, and, like, it just all around, it's like for the long run. Okay, so just go do it. It takes,
Exactly.
like, a second to do. Like, just click it. That's all I
Yes.
gotta do.
There's going to be a link in the description below so you can find Reina and Jericho, wishlist it, try out the demo, and keep it locked here as well. We're going to have much more PAX coverage coming for you very, very soon, along with our 100th
PAX
episode,
edition.
where we're going to be doing a bunch of giveaways and having a bunch of cool guests. So get stoked,
Guys,
because
I'm
we have
so
a lot of stuff
excited.
coming.
You will not believe some of the games that we have for our contest. And all you
Mm-hmm.
have to do, literally all you have to do, is like, follow, subscribe. It's so simple. And
Mm-hmm.
that gives you a chance to win one of these games from Freedom Games, Ubisoft. We have lots more.
Yeah, so make sure you keep it locked. We'll be announcing the full details for that very, very soon. Destiny, thanks again, and we're going to see you at the next one.
Bye
Peace out.
bye.